What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we do our best to be the bridge between our fellow real estate investors, entrepreneurs alike, and the cryptocurrency world, because crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next year or so, and nothing's even close. Welcome along on the journey. We appreciate you guys. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Just truly blessed to be on this journey, not only with you, Dane, but all these fine men and women in our chat, our family members, where we're going to use cryptocurrency as that wealth creation tool. Remember, these are just tools, guys. Use it as a wealth creation tool and then use some real estate, some real world assets, maybe like oil and gas, who knows, as a wealth preservation tool and change the trajectory of our lives financially forever. And that's kind of the idea. And right now we're in that spot of the market cycle where we have this opportunity for the ones who are paying attention, for the ones that are noticing, for the ones who are doing the due diligence, for the ones who understand where we're at in the cycle. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Do I believe the cycle is over? No, I'm seeing some FUD around Twitter right now where that potentially that was the top, the all-time top. There was your left translated cycle, and now it's Goblin Town for another 2, 3, 4 years. Now, that's not my thesis, although I've been wrong before. I'm wrong all the time, and I could be wrong now. So you make your own financial decisions. This is never financial advice. Me and Dane are just a couple of dudes on the internet speculating about our own money and what we're going to do with our money and what we believe in. And that's all this is. And we're just hoping for a lot of friends to come along the ride with us. And it's just been a fun ride up to this point. And I'm going to start some new rumors. Dane, Germany is selling Bitcoin right now because they're buying Pulsechain. They need the liquidity to come in and buy the best layer one blockchain in crypto. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I like the rumor. I think let's push it out there and see what happens, right?
You think people are going to buy it? People are going to believe me that Germany's selling for Pulsechain? I mean, I like it. If I was Germany, I would be doing it. Of course, I'm not running a nation state, so thank God. Thank God I'm not. I'll be spending all the money on Pulsechain. Although Pulsechain would moon, that would be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah. I think it's interesting. In fact, is it true that they went and sold and then rebought a bunch of it? I saw.
Yeah, dude. They've been acting like traders. Like literally, they've sold and rebought and then sold again. Like, what is the underlying purpose for this besides making decisions off of emotion? Like, I don't know why one would do that unless, or it could be this too. Or they're trying to push the price down further and flood the market out so they can come back and accumulate. I just don't understand why anybody would do that. I understand why people do it because people do it off of emotion. Like that's the main driver of why people buy anything. To be honest with you, even when you buy a soda at your local convenience store, it's usually off some kind of emotion that's going on inside you. It's just weird to me, man. Yeah, we've seen it on chain or the data points. I've seen it from multiple data points for me. So I don't know, what the purpose behind that is. It's really, really odd.
Everybody's here to try to profit, right? And so I think this is them trying to do that. It's time will tell if they do a good job of that. It'll be interesting to see. But, I think it's probably as simple as that. They saw something and they thought it was time to get out of some of their position. And they thought it was time to get back in and then get back out. We'll see.
Why do that part? I get why getting out of your position.
Profit, right?
Well, if you sold and then bought back, it's not like when they bought back, it went up like crazy. Like, how could they have been in profit? They'd resold again. I mean, would they have profit maybe 5%? I mean, maybe that's a justified enough profit, but that doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me. Besides being an emotional trader, it just seems like they are being an emotional trader to me.
Well, I think that's the easiest explanation. I think a lot of people, and I do this too, I think it's easy to assume that because somebody has...
You're not running a country, sir.
Hey, just because somebody has a particular standing that they know, you know, and they're really advanced and make dumb decisions all the freaking time.
I
All the time.
guess that answer makes sense.
I think that one makes the most sense. Now maybe I'm wrong, but I think that one makes the most sense.
Oh my gosh. So it looks like Bitcoin is starting to hold these positions. I've watched a lot of Hans content lately, trying to consume what's going on with the market. And it looks like we could be holding here. If it does, then we're kind of out of the weeds for now. If it doesn't, if we fall and break this $56,000 or $57,000 range, like the next range is like $45,000
Right,
or something like that.
40s.
It's going to take all of crypto down with it. By the way, it's not just going to be BTC that goes down. So you are, thinking about dollar cost averaging in. Could we see some more downward pressure? We could, if we don't see BTC hold these levels and recover and continue the movie. Although I'm seeing it today that it's kind of recovering and trying to make its way through this. But just, keep your wits about you. If you're dollar cost averaging in, if you're, don't get fudded out. If BTC lose the levels and Pulsechain does go down, it's not because, because Pulsechain sucks or anything. It's because, the overall macro of crypto is going down and we're just going to follow suit. Now the question is, how much do we follow suit? That's I would speculate and say it wouldn't be a whole lot. Maybe it's 20%. Maybe it's, I don't know. Who knows? Like, because we've already so oversold. They clicked the wrong button. I remember that being the answer, the narrative of like when Godwell gave all that EHEX over to BakeX. There was an actual real narrative going around that Godwell clicked the wrong button. Like, it was a thing people were believing too. Like, it was being spun up all over Twitter. I was like, oh my God, no, guys, that's not what happened.
Right. Actually, I think this is a good take. Yeah, I've seen Hans's content too. Yeah, he's thinking it'll be boring until December. In fact, it was really interesting. Hans, shout out to Hans. He did a great show. I think it was late last week where he went through and he did at least the time analysis of what stood out to me. And if you look at the time analysis, I mean, this cycle is looking really similar to the last ones. If these things continue to play out, then
this time is different, Dane. This time is different, sir.
Then you're December, right? You're December until the altcoins really start to get exciting again, which is, gosh,
Merry Christmas.
That gives us what, like 6 more months to accumulate at decent prices potentially.
That's beautiful. Dude, please, like, you guys keep giving me this opportunity. I'm going to take it. I am taking it. Not you guys. I know you guys in our chat are not the Jeters. You guys are the true believers. You guys are here for this because you know and believe, and you know you're trying to change the trajectory of your family tree. Like, but the crypto Twitter, the FUD guys, these guys who are selling, it's you're giving me and Dane some pretty juicy opportunities. If you want to keep doing it for the next 6 months, I'm going to keep taking it.
Agreed.
Because that's is that Pulse?
So let's look at some charts here. This is interesting. So let's pull up. I was charting some of the RH tickers, and full disclosure, some of you guys in the chat, I'm certain, are better charters than I am. Chartists, we'll say. So where we stand right now is we're hanging out. Let me zoom in. So we're hanging out right now at this liquidity zone. And once again, this is in dollar terms. I'm just pulling it here. We're hanging out in this liquidity pocket right now. And it'll be interesting to see if we kind of hover around this zone. If we don't, if we go down and we sweep the lows, let's say that coin goes and craps the bed. I mean, the good news is it's only about a 17%, 18% dip from where we're at right now. So, it's not that much more, which is funny to say because in all other markets you'd say that was a ton. Here in crypto, you're like, 20%. I could do another 20% dip.
It's funny that we think that way. It is.
So
do me a favor, Dane. Once we're done looking at this, I want to see the secret chart.
Oh yeah, we'll pull that one up as well.
Okay.
But I mean, you look across all the RH tickers, it's not that, it's not that, at least in my mind, if we were to hold these lows, it's not that much further down. So that's that one. You look at to this next liquidity zone on Pulsechain. It's only a 7% dip. Something like Ink is
We're still seeing Pulse.
Oh, I'm not showing it here. Share this tab instead. If you look at something like Pulsechain here, and we measure from where we're at right now, and once again, this is just super rough, you guys. You're about a 7% dip there to get down to the next liquidity zone. Something like Ink. Share this one. You're looking at about a 23% dip from where we're at right now down to this next liquidity pocket.
Feel that wick.
Yep.
Back there.
Yep. And something like Hex is the biggest one. If you went, I mean, the only other liquidity to get down to here, at least.
We can't see it, Dane.
Oh, yeah. Show this one. Okay.
There you go.
So the only other liquidity to get down to on the Hex chart is like the beginning of this price chart when Pulsechain launched.
Jeez.
That's a 33.5% dip from where we're at down to the very bottom of that price chart. So, I would say theoretically this one is the scariest. We're still, it's still a falling knife. Look at this thing. It just wants to fall and fall some more. People love selling Hex. We've been saying this for a long time.
Yeah,
and so we'll see. It'll be interesting. On the flip side, shout out to Crispy Man. He brought this up today when we were talking. If you're somebody that really likes to accumulate T-shares, I think if I'm quoting him correctly, for about $1,400, if you punt that out for 5555, you could go ahead and have a shark position in 15 years. So they're cheap. It's cheap right now to go and accumulate if you're willing to punt out for a really long period. So there's that. Lots of ways to be able to look at the data.
I would say for the new guys, if you guys are watching and you haven't done any, having a little exposure out there just in case, right? Like crypto does wild things. We don't know what it's going to do 15 years from now. It could be worth nothing, but it could be worth a lot of something. And for me, having a little bit of exposure, just a little bit. I know you guys hear us talk about how we're kind of against the narrative of staking. That's because we already have stakes. And that's because most people who watch the show also have stakes too. New guys, a little bit of exposure out there. Like if I was brand new, man, or like say my brother came to me. My brother came to me, he's like, hey man, I've never done a stake. I'm gonna put in, say he's gonna put in, my brother's like, oh, I'm gonna put in 20 grand. All right, it could make sense to punt out 1,400. That's the way I think about it. And then you could build the rest of your portfolio out however accordingly you want around this market cycle. But that's the way I look at it. And then if these analysts are right and Hex is the next Bitcoin, that 1,400 is going to be the best 1,400 he ever spent in his whole entire life. But there's that risk that Hex is going to be around and still be a badass cryptocurrency. I hope it is. God, I hope it is. Oh my word. You want to talk about changing families' trees. That could be one way of doing it if Hex pans out. And it could. There is a chance it could, but there's also the chance that it could not. So that's the things I think about when I think about risk and reward. It's very important to think that through in your head and make your own analysis and come up with how that looks, what that looks like. But there is the reward factor that you do got to pencil in. When you're doing it, your math, and you pencil in all that risk, don't forget the reward part. So
nailed it. Yeah. On another note, we are going to hear about the RH case today, or theoretically, we should get an update. And I thought about this a lot, Corey. If there wasn't the fraud allegations as part of that case, I think I'd be fairly comfortable given like a 50-50 chance that
Sure.
that maybe it gets dismissed today. I think with the fraud in there, I think that you've got to look at things more closely if you're the judge and whatnot. And I think, I think it's a very small percentage chance that things get dismissed or we have positive news today. And I think the market is pricing that in right now. I think they have been pricing it in. It's very rare that the rest of us get information beforehand, right? And we can act on it. And the market knows first. And I think the market's showing that.
But Nuclear Herbs had a good point. I've been kind of going through some of his, what do we call it, X, or I don't even know, tweets. I call it tweets. But anyways, I was going through some of his stuff, and he said that what he's excited for about this is that it could give a little bit more clarity about what the SEC is going to continue pursuing with. They could alter or change or dismiss parts of the case. For example, you can't sue Hex itself as an entity or take Hex to court, or Pulsechain. There's no Pulsechain Corporation. You can't do that. So there's things that they could change or dismiss about the case to try to help the SEC's probabilities of winning when they go to court. And also it would relieve some pressure up on RH too. So like it'd be, there's good things that could come out of it without just a full like, oh, this is dismissed. So that's what we're kind of hoping for. That's what Nuclear Herbs is hoping for. He's like, look, there's like 0% chance that's going to be dismissed. That's what he thinks. He's like, It's like practically zero. But what it does is it puts a little bit more clarity. And Nuclear Herbs is thinking that's the exact tactic that RH's attorneys are deploying here. It's not because they want a natural dismissal. It's because they're wanting some things to be ironed through before they can go and pursue this harder. So that's all it was. And so like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that we can't get some good news as far as the lawyers are concerned and everything else, right? It doesn't mean that. But I'm with you with that. I do believe maybe a 0 to a 2% at max that we get a full dismissal. But man, I don't know, man. I'd be screaming. I'd have to run down to the beach and.
Well, so here's the scenario. Let's run with the idea that we get more clarity. So let's say that the SEC says, we remove the actual Hex and Pulse and PulseX, remove all the actual tokens from the case, and we're just going after Richard for fraud. I think that's a reasonably likely scenario. I think that's the one thing that they can try to stand on is misappropriating funds and how the funds were raised. Right. I think you can run with that. If that's the case, I still don't think that at least in the short term, I don't think that gives us much juice to.
Oh, I agree. I don't think we're going to skyrocket to the moon. Yeah. I agree. But it makes the battle or the mountain that they have to climb a lot smaller. That's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make the mountain smaller. Like they have to go and climb in October. That's all they're trying to do here is a little, bring it down. Right. There's tactics and strategy and all this, what they're doing. And they're not idiots. They don't think that the SEC is just going to freaking throw it out. Why would they? Except for the one fact I would be, if I was the SEC, I'd be like, man, I've had so many damn losses. Do I want to go and pursue another loss? Maybe that would be some thinking, but you
wonder what the internal pressure with the SEC looks like. Like, what do things actually look like at their office? Because it's not pretty, it's not pretty at all.
No, dude, they just freaking lost again with the Binance security accusations. I mean, freaking CZ's in prison right now, and they beat the SEC. So obviously that was
go to jail.
He's in jail right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously the DOJ was able to complete what they were doing, and they made a settlement. And he paid $4 billion to or something similar. I don't know if it's exactly $4 billion, but he paid that off. He had to go do some prison time, and at the same time,
4 months started in April, apparently, according to Google.
Okay. And then at the same time, the SEC can't hold security regulations against them. They said, nope, these are not securities. Your raise does not count as a security. Like, bro, Hey, this is good case law. This is great. And we see this over and over and over again. His attorneys have to be in freaking, they're just loving this. They're sucking it up. Right. And so like today is just going to be more information for them. It's going to be great. It's great. But I mean, the market, you know, and crypto is such an immature market. It's responding negatively to all this. It's just how it goes. But to me, it's like, okay, respond negative. Help us find a bottom somewhere so I can freaking snipe the chart, man.
Right. Right. This is a great comment from Nomad. Yeah, the clip with Eric Wall, if you guys haven't seen that, it's a great one where essentially Richard, I mean, he lays the framework, right? He says, imagine going and raising money and then buying ETH and then dumping ETH at the top for some other token. Like that's what he presents. And so, you know, I think that's what everybody is holding hope out for in some respect, is that happens, right, to some degree. And it's exciting to consider. It's interesting. So we'll see.
Yep, I agree 100%. It's gonna be fun.
Urban Productions wants a video if you run down to the beach naked.
If they dismiss, that might justify it if they actually dismiss the case.
That would definitely justify it.
They'd have to dismiss the whole entire case, though. Like all of it's gone and thrown out, and then like we're good. Like I don't know, man. I'm not gonna promise anything though, because even at the 2% chance it does get dismissed, I don't know if I want to go to jail for public nudity here in Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, when you went and saw, I thought one of the funniest things with the SEC's case is they claimed that Richard misappropriated spending, and the way they dated it was before he even raised any money. So, like, you know, it was pretty ridiculous. Richard didn't need to use any of the SAC funds to go and buy what he bought. And even if he did, like, in the end of the day, the way he raised the money, in my opinion, like, it's not a big deal. It's not like he went and spent a lot of it either. Like, you know, he raised over $1 billion. Even if you calculated up the watches and the cars, there was less than, you know, 10 million bucks in spend there, in my opinion. Like it was drop in the bucket in relationship to the total amount.
120.
You know.
I mean, he was cycling that through Hex like it was water back in the day. I mean, worried about like, oh man. We got Crypto 7 in the chat, man. Hey, dude, that show today was fire. I rewatched it. He had Hans on, Dane, and it was fire, bro. It was a great show. Just once again, you know, Hans validating all the stuff that we already know. But yeah, it'd be interesting if we run sideways all the way through December, Dane. The one thing that went through my head on that is, and actually Crypto 7 asked him on this question. I'll tell you what his response was. But one thing that was going through my head was like, okay, if it's all the way till December, what about October in the RH case and everything there? And Hans basically said, and 7 asked him that. And Hans like, well, October, it's close enough to December. That's basically what he said. October is close enough where that would still line up with my analysis of what I'm seeing here. So it could be as early as October. It could be November. I mean, yeah. So
who knows? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, who knows? But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw. It just wouldn't surprise me that any massive catalyst type events that happen in crypto, and this would be in our ecosystem, whether it's a nothing burger or not. It wouldn't surprise me if the traders were buying the price up for kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. It just wouldn't surprise me for like going into October. Like, so it's at the end of October, maybe the beginning of October, you see the price getting ran up. And, you know, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me just because the intent of the buy the rumor, sell the news. And at that point, you know, you would want your bags packed. Your DCA should have already been, you know, done for the most part. But I don't know. You know, these are all speculations.
Yeah.
And we're wrong all the time.
Agreed. Yeah. The cabal.
The DeFi Alliance cabal, man. Yeah. How do I join this cabal? Where do I do it? Is there like do I have to get jumped in? I mean, these are gangs, right? You got the Tang gang, you have the cabal. Like, how do I get in this thing, man? How do I get initiated into this?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting take, and I would disagree with it ever so slightly. So, for instance, if there is some new information or evidence to come to light that was not previously available or that people knew about, and this happens, right? This happens in cases, not all the time, but it happens enough that circumstances out there can occur that that come to light that they could go ahead and dismiss a case on the drop of a hat. In fact, I was watching a Dateline episode where they did just that on a murder trial, where the case was literally dismissed in 30 seconds. Essentially, the guys weren't even in the courtroom when it happened because some new evidence came to light, and boom, it was done. So, do we think that's likely? No. But, things like that could happen.
Again, that's why I give it a 2%. I mean, when Nuclear Herbs gives it 0, like he said 0. Literally, that was his response. 0. Like, that guy's an attorney. He knows more than us.
Right.
I don't know crap about law, man. That's why I have to pay these guys every time I get in trouble. And I've done it multiple times. So I know how it works, and it sucks.
Right. But cool, guys. It'll be fun to see. Yeah, I'm excited. I think that it's nice that we have an opportunity. I know you guys are worn out, same as everybody else, right? But still opportunities to buy when things are cheap. We're working on some cool things in the background to make that information more readily available and easy to consume for the masses. I think that'll help for onboarding. So there's things that can happen there. We've got an event today. In fact, this is really cool. We've got an event that starts today and goes all week. We're talking to people about Pulsechain, bringing a bunch of them on board. Last month's event, we brought, I think it was 12 new people that they're starting to look at Pulsechain and buy into the ecosystem. And we do stuff like that every single month. So,
and it's not plebs, guys. I mean, these guys aren't coming in with $500. The majority of them, I'd say the majority is at least 10,000 or above. One of my last private one-on-ones, he brought in 3 million. Right. So, these guys are bringing in real money. Like, it's not, and these guys are not on Twitter every day oh my God, the FUD. They don't. They park their money and they go off and run their businesses, and they might check back in a month and, hey, how's everything going? Wow, running sideways still. Like, DCA in some more if you can, or if you want, right? Never financial advice. I can only give myself financial advice, and that's it. That's it.
Right. And I'm telling you, like, the opportunity to be able to onboard when prices are cheap, like,
oh, dude, this is it.
That's golden. This is it. Like, many guys get been out of shape about stuff. Look, like, the best way to be able to bring in new onboards when risk is much lower, right? Things can always get cheaper, but when risk is low, upside is high. These are legitimately levels where, and once again, we don't give any financial advice, but if you want to throw out crazy crypto X's and things, like, these are the levels from which people could actually see it if this stuff performs well. And man, like, this is the time. This is the time.
Everybody wants to beat the drum of onboarding when we're a 5x off this price. Like, guys, right now is the time. Like, this is the time that if you really wanted to, if you felt good about what ecosystem you're in, and you felt good about, what's going on with the macro and Bitcoin, if you don't think Bitcoin's rolled over, like, this is the time to call your brother up or your sister and be like, look, you might want to look at this. Like, this could do some pretty good numbers. You're used to the stock market world where you make 20% on a good, that's a good stock in a good year. The average, I think, is like 7% a year is what it normally does. I think it's been doing better than that these last couple of years just because of freaking NVIDIA. But, like, you can explain it to them. Look, here's what this has done in the past. Here's what other layer ones have done in the past. This is what this guy's last token did. Like, so these are the times to do that. It's not when going into the RH case and we've done a 5X off the bottom and then you're feeling euphoric, and now you're calling your brother to try to get him in. That's the wrong time. You just did him a disservice. Right. Like, it's when the shit is down on the bottom or close to the bottom. We can never be right on the money at the bottom. We're hoping we're closer to the bottom, way on the top. But like, this is the time to get people in. This is the time to beat the drum. This is the time to join. Go join that. If you like, for example, if you have a certain kind of car, you can go join that car's club and start talking to all these other people who enjoy the same kind of car as you, right? Like, there's a lot of these. There's BMW clubs, there's Corvette clubs, there's Mercedes clubs. You can go. This is one strategy you could deploy to go out there and start bringing people in. Make friends with these people. These people usually have a little bit of money, and you could start, helping them get a little exposure into this asset class. If they want to be very conservative, you could hey, just go buy Ethereum, but they're naturally going to go, okay, so Ethereum might give me a 3 to 10x, right? You're like, yeah, that's about, that's a conservative, 5x maybe, it's probably very conservative. You're going to get that. Maybe we'll see. But then they're going to be like, well, how do I get a 20x? What about all these other guys who get 20, 40, 50, 100? How do I get that? And then you're like, well, I got this other cool thing. Or this other cool thing that I really like that's leveraged on top of this. We know 2 different wallets that hold over 318,000 Ethereum. Those particular wallets, like buying our thing. Like, it is the stuff you explain to them, right? And you help onboard them in. And maybe it's like, maybe in their risk profile, it's 80% they're going to have an ETH, and maybe 20% they have over here, because that's the real risky stuff for them, depending on how much money they have in crypto. And this is how you onboard people. And it's right now is the time. So I'm glad you brought that up, Dane, because that is a strong talking point right now. And I think we should bring that up probably on every show while we're down here in these lulls. And we have till at least probably October, maybe the month before it's possible, or all the way up to December if we're following Hans's altcoin 4-year perfect cycle. We have time, guys. Go out there and get people in right now. It's not when we're 5x off the bottom, 10x, or some of the Hex streamers who were screaming that Hex was going to go to $9,000 a coin, stake everything 5555 when Hex was 30 cents. I mean, these guys should be freaking banned from the community. It was a wrong time to be beating the drum. It's just do it responsibly. And these are the times, man. Call your family members up. Go join your local car club. If you're a golfer, golf is a great place to go out and meet money and build relationships. It's actually really good for business. If you know how to golf, you can go out and create a lot of different business relationships. It's almost like an instant mastermind, if you will, when you're joining one of these clubs. And so that's your stick. Use that stick to your advantage, right? And you might find yourself striking up a business opportunity, and you might go out and make some money with these people. I don't know. Just start thinking about these things, how you can go out there and onboard the world. And right now is the freaking time, man. I can't stress that enough. This is boy, I don't know what else to say.
Speaking of onboarding tools, the guys over at Coast, it sounds like, so they're, as far as I understand, they're operational for people outside of the United States right now. And it sounds like as soon as by the end of the month, they'll be operational for the US as well. So if you haven't used Coast, you haven't gone over there and checked it out, this is the easiest way to get money over the chain. The pricing as far as fees is really competitive and fair. Really like what these guys have built.
I love it. And did you see also, Dane, they're going to start accepting our wrapped DAI and USD.
I love that.
They're making this hey guys, we're just going to make this as easy as possible for you to come in and out of chain, right? This is it. And this is what's going to make retail be able to come in easily too, because retail understands using a Coinbase. Look, it's just like Coinbase. You're going to wire money in and boom, you're going to go trade and buy your coins. And I just got to show you one extra website. So easy, man. So easy. Maybe 2 extra websites, depending on what you're trying to do. I don't know, right? It's so easy though at that point, and those guys are amazing for what they're doing. They're to get all the money transmitter license, and I think there's other ways they're getting around doing that. But like what they've been doing it's a lot of work. That's the one protocol, Dane. Like I would never in a million years want to be in charge of or be built.
Like a ton of work.
Like that is like that nightmare about dealing with like due process and legalities and all the other and money transmitting. Oh my God. No way. That's a nightmare. And so our hats are off to those guys.
Yeah. Back and like you said, so if you guys haven't used Coast, the way that it's worked before is essentially you'd have to go in when you wanted to on ramp, you would send your capital in, you'd swap it for their Coast stable coin, and then you could go transact, do whatever you're going to do on Pulsechain. And then when you wanted to leave, you did the same thing, but opposite, right? You'd swap your crypto into the OX Coast tokens, and then you could send it to the platform. You could burn the token and get cash deposited in your bank. I tested it both ways to make sure that it all worked, and it was seamless. It was really nice. The nice thing, though, with like Corey's saying, they're implementing the wrap stables like USDC and DAI. Those are way more liquid than the Coast token is in the Coast stable. So they're giving a way for you to be able to directly off ramp from Pulsechain to your bank account with a stable coin that's very liquid, the most liquid on Pulsechain. That's cool. Really freaking cool. So shout out to those guys.
Yep. Once again, bullish divergence on the macro events happening in Pulsechain, guys. Don't sleep on it. Watch the charts. DCA still king. Maybe find some structure. Oh, did we look at the secret chart real quick?
Oh, let me pull that up.
Let's look at that real quick before we end up hopping off. That's why everyone comes here to check us out now. Dane, did you know?
That's right.
We have the secret chart.
Let me see.
I want to see if the W is playing out or if it's just kind of like going sideways. If we're just kind of, I'll be honest, I haven't even looked today. What's going on there?
I think I've got it right here. All right, let me share my screen.
Bring it up, man, because what I care about, since we're talking about Ethereum, and that's like the main asset, like people could go into for Urban Productions. Yeah, it's a quick 1 to 5x, very liquid on if you had millions of dollars. But those guys also want to have exposure into 20, 30, 40 X's. And this is a good chart to be looking at to try to figure out when is a good time.
So this is the daily. What do you want to look at? Daily?
Zoom out. You're going to zoom out. There we go. There was the W that was printing. And so like it just kind of rolled over and it's running sideways. It looks like. You have it measured against ETH right now? You have the button clicked?
Let's see. I mean, this is the Pulse versus ETH. Let me. Oh yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, just gotta click the button. Otherwise, it will. It looks like you might have done it because the Pulse chart against the dollar is actually going down. It's not running sideways. So I think you got it right.
I think so too.
Yeah. So I think it's right.
But the uptrend's holding. I mean, you see this. You see this wick come down, hit this uptrend, and then bounce. So it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, preferably.
Well, what's very interesting, Dane, is if we form very strong formation here on the ETH chart, and ETH gets its ETF inflows, and it starts to pump a little bit. Does that mean if we hold structure against ETH, that hypothetically assumes that we also start to pump a little bit to maintain, right? That's why I love this chart so much, because it shows a lot. It shows a bigger story than just comparing it against the dollar. You need to look at both. Honestly, you got to look at both, but don't forget about the secret chart.
Agreed.
So
cool. This has been good, Corey. Anything else you want to cover today?
We'll be here all week, guys. Next week, I will be out of the hopper. I am going to be on vacation. I have family members coming to visit me here in PR, And I'm actually going to go out and enjoy PR because it's a beautiful island and I don't get to go out and explore it enough. We actually have these little tiny islands around PR we call the Spanish Virgin Islands. And we're going to go take a trip out there, and we're going to stay out there, and we're going to scuba dive, and we're going to go visit the bioluminescent bay where the water glows at night. That's going to be fun. And so we're going to have a good time. So next week I'll be out, and then the week after that I'll be back in, and we can do some streams. But other than that, guys, keep the faith. You know why you're here. We appreciate you coming and visiting us on this show. We love our community. Smash the likes. Hit that bell notification. That way you know every time we come on and stream. It just helps the algorithm too, right? Kind of pushes up through this bear and bull that we're about to go through, and we can continue cutting through the narratives and probably bring you some great real estate opportunities when we do reach a top. A real true bear market hedge. So that's it. Peace, guys.